Happy October, everybody, and welcome to the fourth quarter. Welcome to our Practice Power Academy Coaching Webcast number 16, the first one of the fourth quarter. I think most of you know who I am, but for those who don't, this is Coach Joe Lucas, the creator, founder, curator of Practice Power Academy, and I'd like to welcome all of our members for taking time out of the busy day to join me. Right now, if you're looking behind me through the window there in sunny Melbourne, Florida, it will not be that way in 48 hours. And with that in mind, we're going to keep this webcast a little shorter than normal just because I have a bunch of to-dos in the next 36 hours to get ready for the fun and games that we have here in Florida coming up. So, a couple things real quick. We break this webcast up into three distinct chunks. The first one is just some basic information, announcements, if you will, because you're all members of the site. Number two, topic for the week that I get to choose, which I'm going to spend time talking about fourth quarter game plans, kind of what needs to be on the list, some things you need to adhere to. And I think this year especially, there's going to be some very unique tasking. We're going to get into that a little bit later. And then obviously all of you are encouraged and to submit a question or a topic. And we do have a couple of people that submitted topics in advance. And we're going to go over them from client events to practice mergers to referrals. I think those are the three things that are on the board today. We are recording this webcast, and what we decided to do, and we kind of went back and forth on this, the simplest solution for everybody that we feel, my team and I feel, is that we're going to be uploading these videos to my YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel, Coach Joe Lucas, and inside that YouTube channel will be a playlist, and the playlist will have the recordings of all the webcasts. So all 16 of them will be there in the next several days, and that way you can you don't have to log into Practice Power to view them. You can just get them on your phone, your mobile device, anywhere you like them to be. It's just the simplest way to get that out there. So there's several of them up right now, and again, it's Coach Joe Lucas. So if you go to YouTube, search CoachJoeLukacs and click subscribe. Anytime anything is uploaded there, you'll get a notification of it, and away we go. Other thing, I know in the last webinar I posted the exact dates of our business planning webcast. There's a little shift now. I did get invited to host a 3-day private business planning event, which may overlap one or two of those dates. We're definitely still doing it. I will have a definitive dates and times for everybody by the end of this month, along with a registration link. Just remember, there are two types of members in Practice Power Academy. There's what we call members, and that's no cost, no charge, nothing, right? You're part of this family here. If you want to participate in the business planning live cast, those will be for elite access members only, which are typically people that were personally coaching myself and my team, or you've decided to invest and gain access that way. We'll cover that over the next couple of webcasts, okay? Last thing before we get into topics. As I mentioned last call, and some of you did raise your hand, so which is really cool, is that I will be launching and leading an 8-member virtual mastermind and study group. And this group will be composed of 8 advisors and 8 only, not 9, not 10, 8. We'll meet once a month, a couple hours virtually, best practices, marketing, what's working, and you'll get to collaborate with 7 other hand-picked advisors that I interview as part of this group. So if you have an interest in that, send me a note, and we're actually going to start the interview process probably later on this month or in November. Again, maximum of 8. So with that being said, let's get into our topic for the week. So a couple things real quick. Fourth quarter. And it pains me to even say it because I feel like, gosh, where'd this year go? And here we are, fourth quarter, and so again, it's going to fly by. There's a couple of things that I think are really important. First of all, if you look at the calendar, understand, please, that October is the last what I call normal month of the year. right? No real holidays in there. Thanksgiving's not here, Christmas or the end of the year. So this is when this is one of those months where you really need to have a strong, tight, well thought out monthly game plan, and really be focused on being tactical. Calls, reviews, follow-ups, doing all those things, because once you get into that third week in November, a lot of things get in the way. And it's not me being negative or anything like that. It's just what is, right? And we all know that. Holidays come, people get sidetracked, and it gets more challenging. So if you're planting some seeds now, get going on. So really make October count as much as you can. Some of my clients, and I'm not saying you have to do this, I know some of my clients will even rejigger their calendar a little bit to basically go ahead and have a couple more extra tactical days, and they'll pull out some of the strategic days, okay, just to make sure they get as much done as possible. The other thing which I think are critically important is a lot of advisors don't really, I say, hey, when does your year start, when does your year end? And they go, well, January 1st and December 31st, of course. Why wouldn't it end that way? And I think that's a mistake. I really want you all to pick, hey, this is my last tactical day of the year. Whether that's the 15th of December, the 18th of December, the 22nd of December, wherever it happens to be, but really be very intentional and say, this is it. Now, can you always come in if you need to? Yes. However, pick a window and say, here's when I'm done. And that way you know how many tactical days you'd have or how many production days you have to make the most out of it. Please don't leave it open-ended. It creates some challenges, which I'll talk to you about in December. The reality is that you have to create an off-season in this game of ours. Otherwise, you kind of fall out of one year and fall into the new year burnt out. And we don't want that. So again, very important that you go ahead and pick an end date. Okay. Third piece is decide on your business planning process. So obviously, we're not doing a live event this year. So if you're gonna come join us on our virtual event, decide A, if you're gonna do that, right? And I'll give you the dates, like I said, in a couple weeks. B, where are you gonna do it? So am I going to be in my office and doing it, which is not what I recommend. So need to think through that. If I'm with a firm, does my firm require anything, right? Numbers, again, their concept of the plan, so on and so forth. What do I need to do there? So again, think through that a little bit. Very important. Next piece is, this is sort of a version of the monthly game plan, but it's its own little thing. And you could do this in a spreadsheet. You could put it on a pad if that's the way you like to operate, wherever you want to put it. I want you to sit down and really ask yourself, what do I need to do between now and the end of the year? Okay, so what's my checklist, if you will? For example, do I have any CE needs, right? Or all my continuing education credits done? You don't want to be going into mid-December with a surprise, oh my gosh, I'm 5 hours short on something, and you got to go scramble for something, right? How's my CE? Where am I with all that, right? What am I going to do in terms of client? Am I doing any client cards this year? Thanksgiving cards, holiday cards, things like that, right? Am I doing anything in terms of a holiday event for my clients? And some of my clients are doing them, some aren't. And we could talk about that on another call, another webcast, I mean. Again, what are some things that I need to do? The other piece, quite frankly, is RMDs. A lot of people wait maybe until they get a little late into the fourth quarter. I would probably encourage you to rethink that a little bit, just because I think some of you are going to have some Department of Labor deliverables, right? And I just literally got off the phone with one of my clients literally before this call, and I said to him, I said, where are we with DOL? And he said, hey, we just had a couple calls, and we're getting this package, if you will, this consulting package. And I said, great. You need to, in the next 3 weeks, go through it so you know what you need to do. You don't want to go into the fourth or first quarter having to figure out what your business model needs to be. So this is when we need to be upfront, be proactive. Don't leave it up to again, if you're with a firm, Don't assume that they're going to proactively communicate to you and then hold you accountable to it. They may or may not. Ultimately, it's your responsibility. So let's make sure we do a really good job at being focused on that, right? So RMDs and DOL, I think, are really important. The DOL is really that extra project this year that I hope only happens once in a lifetime, right? So you just need to be aware of it. Don't stick your head in the sand and pretend it's hey, no big deal. I'll worry about it next year and things like that. The more proactive you are, the more options you have to fit it in, the less stress you're going to have, and quite frankly, it's just good business to do it that way. So just be aware of that going forward. A couple of things for the year-end checklist. Are you going to do anything for your team? So if you have a part-time assistant or you have a team of 10, and people on this call, on this webcast, really range in that way, are you going to do anything year-end for them, holiday for them, year-end bonus for them, anything like that? So you want to think through that. If you're doing are you going to do a client event for the holidays? Are you doing a dinner, wine tasting, reception, open house? You're going to punt until next year. One of the things I'll say now, because it's going to become an official recommendation, actually this business planning cycle for me, is over the last 3 years, I've had several clients, actually started with 1, and then we went to 5, and now we've had about 10 this past year, stop doing holiday client events. They say, you know what, it's just crazy. And what we've done, and what we've replaced it with, is a welcome to the new year client event. So let me take 5 minutes on it, then we'll get to questions. But I want to plant the seeds today so that you can think through it. The challenge we have with is that, well, they're in the holidays, right? And people are busy, and we're trying to get our goals done and wrap up our year, and some of us take out this chunky project, and it's just a lot, right? And you're competing with so many other things that several of my clients over the last couple of years have said, you know what, I'm not going to play this game anymore. And I had one client 3 years ago in Chicago, of all places, said, hey, what do you think about, instead of doing a client event for Christmas like we've done, is not do that, and let's do something in January. I said, okay, I like that, so let's talk about it. So he and I started thinking about it. I said, well, what would we do? And we started to kick some things around, and we came up with, hey, let's do like a market forecast. And I said, I hate that idea. It sucks. Let's not do that, right? Because last thing anybody needs is another market forecast. I said, well, could we do something like, 10 tips to have a prosperous new 2015 or something like that, or 2014 at the time. Could we do something like that? And we started, so I said, can we make it more like financial planning based or strategy based versus a forecast? And we started, said, okay, yeah, we could probably do that. I said, and then I said, well, the other thing you could think of doing is, find somebody in the health field, right? Chiropractor, nutritionist, personal trainer, internist, anti-aging or life extension doctor, any one of those 5, right? And invite them to come as a guest and let them talk about health. Maybe 10 things they can do to have a healthier new year, right? And we started to really think through this a little bit, and we kind of settled on health and wealth. How to have the healthiest and wealthiest 2015 you can have, right? And what he did, he invited all his clients, bring a guest, prospect list, so on and so forth. It was huge. Why? January is the only month of the year that the average American is self-motivated. Think about it. What are the 2 common New Year's resolutions that the typical American makes? Wait, number 1, they want to get less fat, and they want to get richer. Health and wealth, right? January is the only month of the year where people are motivated for change. That's why they start budgeting. That's why they go on diets. That's why they go to join health club. Now, by February 1st, it's all gone, right? Everybody's back to, 95% of them are back doing what they did, because that's just human beings, unfortunately. But there's a window where you can actually sail with the wind from a human behavior standpoint, and that is January. And you want to really decide this in the next 6 to 8 weeks, because in December, you want to let your clients know you're doing it. So that way when they go back into the holidays and they talk to their friends and families and colleagues and coworkers, they know that you're having this event coming up, so that if somebody mentions that, hey, I'm not happy with this, or next year I'm going to get this in order, they can say, hey, my person, my advisor is hosting this event in January. I can bring guests. Would you like to come? And year one I had one person do it. All right, and it worked really well, and he's done it ever since. Then I turned about 4 of my other clients onto it 2 years ago. All went well. This past January, I think I had 12 or 13 people do it. All went well, all going to continue to do it. So now my goal this year is to get all my clients to really consider strongly a January event to kick it off, right? So I just want to put that out there as something to consider if you're trying to figure out what to do. I'm having a lot of my clients abandon the holiday event and pivoting into January. So just kind of keep that in mind going forward, okay? So those are some things I just wanted to bring up today in terms of fourth quarter game plan, things to think about, so on and so forth. Let's pivot to some questions. There's 3 members that asked some questions. So what we always like to try to do is hopefully they're here, and then what I like to do is kind of get them live with me if I can. And then I'll go ahead and we can kind of have maybe a 3 to 5 minute conversation. We all learn, right, from that, and see if we can pull that off. So I'm going to see if I can grab Preston real quick. I think he's here. There he is. Let's see if we can, let's hope this all work. Preston, can you hear me? Can we hear you? Preston, hello? All right, I'm going to, what? Here he comes, maybe. Preston? Nope. I'm gonna come back to you. Hold on a second. Let's go to I think it's Tim. Tim, can you hear us? Can we hear you?
I'm here. Sure.
Good. So hopefully you're the right Tim to ask about the client event, right?
I am. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, good. Because we have a couple Tims on the call, so I grabbed the first one. So lucky me. All right, so tell me a little bit about the question. So when to hold a client prospecting event, how do you allocate your time to make sure you can get the most out of events? So tell me a little bit about what you're seeking here.
I just did a open house, and I share office space with 2 law firms, and that's my niche. So okay. I invited some of my clients, and some of them came, but the whole bar came too, which was my target. Audience.
Right.
And I found myself I was having to go spend too much is a hard word here. Spent a lot of time with my current clients because they didn't know anybody, as opposed to prospecting and getting my name out more. So my question is, where's the balance between having, the bird in hand and knowing the client's there and taking care of that client, as opposed to going and getting more clients that's in your target?
So in the actual event itself, so in the physical event. Okay.
Yes.
So great. So yeah, great question. So and then the question that a lot of people don't ask, and I think it depends on the type of event. So for example, if you're, and I'm going to leave the mic open so you're aware of that. So if if we're doing like an event that if you're watching video with everybody, it's kind of high top tables, everybody standing around mingling, so more like a mixer type thing. Obviously easier to get around to people and connect and talk and things like that. If it's a sit down, it's a whole different animal, right? From that perspective. What I would say is, again, if I could draw it up on paper, here's the pecking order. I would want to, obviously, you always want to acknowledge all your clients. However, if from a business perspective, the clients that brought a guest, right, they're going to be high on my list to spend some time with. Why? Because they can introduce me to their guest. So I'm going to want to do that. If I've got centers of influence there, like you said, the bar was there and things like that, I want to allocate some time there. There's a way to do it elegantly, and it also depends on size. So the other thing is too is sometimes a client event is too big, right? And there's too many people at once, and it's like a wedding. You just can't get to everybody, right? So that's the other thing you got to kind of think about. I like doing smaller events more regularly or more frequently for that purpose, that you're not spread too thin, right? Because what you don't want to do is feel like you're running around like a chicken without a head, right, during the event, trying to shake everybody's hands and like a politician. That's not probably the good thing. So how many people are at this event, if you don't mind me asking?
Probably 75 to 100.
Because how many?
75 to 100.
75. That's a big event, right? That's big. So here's reality. You're not going to be able to get to everybody. Unless you have a 6-hour event, you're not going to be able to get to everybody. The key thing is to do the best you can. And really, I was talking to somebody last week about this. We had a call. And, we talk, and they do a lot of client events. And I made the comment to them. I said, look, remember, we're not in the event or party planning business, right? We do these things as a revenue generator. And there's really 3 steps of it, right? First step is to get people there. Step 2 is then connect with the people while they're there. And then step 3 is the follow-up after the event. And I think that third one is where I think a lot of advisors fall down. So Tim, like in your case, what I would do if you haven't done it already is those clients that brought a guest, right? They're first on my callbacks. Hey, thanks for coming. What you think? How'd your friend like it? Do you think they'd be open to having a chat with me, right? So we always start with our clients bringing guests first, and then any guests, and we kind of work that way because the follow-up is really a lot of times where things happen. I mean, obviously what we want to have happen is somebody come up to and say, hey, Tim, I'm a friend of so-and-so. They're a client of yours. They said really good things about you. We should get together. That's really what we want to have happen in those events, right? Is people come up and shake our hands and say, hey, we want to get together. Sometimes that happens. Most often it doesn't. But you can at least follow up with the clients on the phone and find out what their friend thought, and then see if they would be comfortable with helping you engineer a conversation with them. That's the best way. So when you think about time in the event, do the best you can there. But really, what's important is the 48 hours after the event, making sure that you have time available to prioritize the thank you calls. And that's what we call them, thank you calls, and see what people think. Okay.
Great. Thanks so much.
Yep. No, thank you. Very cool. Excellent. So, see what Preston, he said, I can hear you, but I don't have a headset to speak to you on the desktop. That stinks. So, I'm going to try to do this the best I can with Preston without him, unfortunately, be able to be here. So again, and I have clients that have done this, so let me kind of walk you through my hierarchy here without knowing too much detail. So first question is why merge, right? First question you ask, why merge? Number 2, are you merging for, is it a P&L play? Are we thinking synergies? Are we, what are we thinking? So again, the why, right? Why am I doing this? And look, pretty much every merger, joint venture, whatever you want to call it, in my mind, it's rarely you see one that doesn't look good on paper. It's just rare, right? Because we always make the math work. The sticking point on most of these, quite frankly, is the personalities, right? So when somebody says, hey, we're going to merge our firm, I say, well, who's going to lead the firm? Oh, we're going to both lead it. There's always a hierarchy, and that has to be discussed. What are the values of all the members of the perceived merged firm, right? The values, what's important to them. The rules, right? How do we know? The belief set. Vision. Where is the firm 5 to 10 years from now? Does everybody have a common vision, or at least a close enough vision to make it work? There's a protocol that I use to really kind of look at all the parties and stuff like that. So that's what you need to take a look at, and then obviously what the prenup looks like. Worst case scenario. And again, I know you can't communicate. Maybe next call you can come back and you can ask the next question, get situated for that. Are we merging like shotgun marriage, or are we going to? Because great example, I've got 2. Long story short, I've got 2 clients I work with independently. They're both my business partners, both platinum partners. I've gotten to know them very well. They're close in proximity, but not that close. And I said, hey, you guys have you guys have a lot of synergies, because what one is good at, the other sucks at, and vice versa, right? I said, you guys should talk. And I put them together, and they started to talk, and here's what they're doing, which I think is brilliant. They're creating a what we call an identity, a branding umbrella. One's going to still run their business, their P&L, right? So they have their equity. The other one has their equity, but we'll be able to work collaboratively. So in essence, like living together without being married, if that's a good way of viewing it, right? So everybody's safe, right? So if it doesn't work out, it's not messy. They're going to do that for 2 to 3 years. At the end of that 2 to 3 year period of time, if it's working well, then what they'll do is actually merge the books. merge the assets, merge the P&Ls together into one entity, but that will only be after a couple of year period of time. So I guess, again, pressing without knowing too much about what you're looking to do here. Okay, so here, why? To take advantage of scale, free up more of my time, focus on client acquisition. So in other words, you'll do that piece. They'll run, so in other words, front of the house, back of the house is what I'm hearing you say. So that can work. Again, it's going to be based upon the protocols, right? Which is common vision, who runs the firm, who leads it. Can this be done as a joint venture first, right? So everybody kind of still has their chips in their bag, so to speak, and then go forward with that. I think those are some things that you need to be concerned about. And like I said, if you want to shoot me an email privately about it, I'm more than happy to spend 5-10 minutes talking with you about it personally, and see if I can add some value that way, just as an FYI. Okay. Last one is Larry, and let's see if we can grab him if he's here or not. I don't see him, unfortunately. So I'll answer this question this way. So when I got this note this morning, I thought I snickered a little bit, right? Referrals are challenging in Massachusetts, and I thought about it, and what I was going to ask him, and he's not here to defend himself, unfortunately, is does Massachusetts have a law against referrals? Like, if there's something unique about that state, right, that would cause somebody not to give referrals. So again, I don't know exactly what is challenging, but here's what I would say. There's a couple things. A lot of people think referrals are about strategy, which is what to say, what to write, how often to say, how often to write. And it's not accurate. Referrals are all about psychology. Do you, the person, the advisor, do you believe that you deserve them? Do you believe that you do a great job for your clients? Do you believe that your clients trust you? It's really more, referrals are all about the advisor, never about the client. So if you're having challenges, Larry, if you're either not here or going to watch the replay, I would submit to you that this is really more about how you feel about what you do. Do you feel like you add value? In essence, I mean, I say this respect. Look, this is just a common belief I have. I believe every advisor is underpaid, because if you're really, truly doing what you really can do for somebody, it's vast and it's important. But if you view this as, hey, it's a way for me to make sales and make money, I can tell you right away, you're not going to feel very congruent with what you're doing. If you wake up every day figuring out how you're going to make money versus waking up and figuring out how I'm going to serve others, yeah, you're going to have a challenge, because you're going to have a level of incongruencies. So referrals are always going to be about the man or woman in the mirror. It's never, and it is absolutely definitely not about the location, the state, or anything like that. So just the only comment I want to make, okay? Real quick, so that's kind of everything for today. I'm going to truncate this a little bit. I know we say about 30 to 45 minutes or so. We're about at 30 minutes now. I have a lot of work to do to get ready for my storm. For those who don't know, I actually reside in Melbourne, Florida, along the Space Coast, which happens to be, at last look, right in the center of that little beautiful red cone they show on the Weather Channel. And so I got to get ready to rock and roll, and I've got about 36 hours to do so. So we will, all things hopefully go well, we will be back here a week from today for another webcast. And again, I thank you all for being here. Submit some questions. As you saw with Tim, I'd love to work. Look, I coach advisors. This is what I love to do. This is all I do. Take advantage of my 25 years. Pick my brain. I'm happy to let you do that, right? Thank you all for being here. Have a great week, great weekend, and I hope to see you all again in 7 days.